Hello, how are you? I'm very excited today. This is one of the very important topic. The part 2 we finish equity valuation concept and basic tool part 1 on the dividend on the dividend, the payouts. What are the different payouts? And because this is the dividend discount models, this is heavily used by the value investors pretty much. And also it has a very, I say, if you learn this it will help you in the real life, and it's also on the level 2 you will see this formula again and again. And the present value, basically, I believe, is a very valuable concept. So don't further wasting of time, I like to, let's continue on the dividend discount models. So dividend discount models, we assume we value the company, we assume the company is assumed to be a going concern, and then we find the intrinsic value of the company by taking the present value of expected future value of the dividend. So this is the formula is given here. So if I, so basically this is the formula given here, and this is the one of the very important formula. So what this formula is saying, so dt is the expected dividend in the year t assumed to be paid at the end of the year. So what's the expected dividend? So basically the dt, if we are at t times 0, right, then we say dt d1 time 1 year, it can be, let's say, 5. D2, it can be let's say 6, or it can be D3, it can be 7. So let's say, so first year, second year, and third year, or what, it depends whatever is the growth rate of the dividend, right? S- and this is, and then we discount with the what's we expect the required rate of a return of a stock. And we well, and this formula can go to the infinity, but usually we are interested in our holding period, right? So holding period is when we want to hold of the stock. Maybe we want to hold of the stock by up to 1 to 5 year, or 1 to 10 year. If we are going for more long term, or for the pension, let's say maybe 1 to 30 years, then that's when, whenever we want to hold of the stock from now to onwards, it's a holding period. So basically what we are saying here, we take, we bring all the values to the present value. So for example, if we, so this is 5, so it will be like this. For the, let's say if we have only first year, 1 year we are holding up the stock, then it will be like 1 uh, plus, sorry, 1 plus 1 plus point 0 point 0.10, right? Plus if we want to hold for 2 year, then second year is this one, so 1 plus point 0.10 square, and so on. So this is, so this is the value of the dividend, right? If you're just taking the dividend for to the present value. But for sure there are one more component of it. So let's take it, the next slide. So basically if we want to hold for the n years, then there are two component. The first component we only talked about here, the dividend, right? But if, let's say, if after 2 years we want to sell the stock, then we also assume, take this, so we add this, so we also add the that terminal value to the to the today's value. So that's what it also defined here, which I introduced the concept earlier. If basically it's the selling price, let's say if the stock is $100 now, and we assume, let's say it's a simple, if we assume, let's say $5 we receive in year one, plus $5 as well we receive in year two, and for 10% discount rate plus 0.10, sorry, and then this is 1 plus 0.10 square, and we assume we can sell this stock, let's say, at $150, which is a way, as It's a little bit too high, but just then we also discount this thing to the t0, which is the time zero, right? So everything, so discounted. So don't worry if you don't understand, we'll do further examples. So everything in terms of today value, that's our, we call as a basically the intrinsic value. So that's our intrinsic value, or we can say the present value of expected dividend plus the present value of expected price which we are willing to sell, right? That also called out like the terminal value, you'll notice. So this is the pretty much very simple model for that to come up to the today's price, or it says the intrinsic value, right? Intrinsic value. So we'll do some example on that one. Similar way we can do free cash flow to equity. Basically everything we can discount. So if you want to the stock instead of dividend, we can use the free cash flow to equity, but the idea is same. So free cash flow to equity is a measure of dividend paying capacity of the firm. So basically what it's saying, if we pay if we pay to all uh, the bond holders, then we pay all the preference share holders. So what's left to the company, right? It can be used for a and also the good thing about this one is it can be used for the non-dividend paying non-dividend paying, right, stock, because not all the stocks pay the dividend, so we can use this. So this is the formula for it. I'm not sure how important this is for level 1, but this is itself is a very big chapter in level 2. So when you go to level 2, you will see this, but just to bring the concept in level 1, so this can be done as well. Okay, now the next is the preferred stock valuation. Maybe I'm thinking, should I take the, so if you want to do the preferred stock valuation, so this is pretty much straightforward. So here we assume it's a perpetual, right? The perpetual preference share, non-callable and non uh, convertible preference shares. So basically it's the current value of dividend by whatever the expected dividend, the required rate we assume. So for example, if you have $100 par value, so keep, so you have to be very careful, right? So in this one you notice, so how to value this? So basically here we are just focus on the value, right? How to value if the preference share comes, how to value. So the formula says only this. So it requires only two things: dividend, current dividend, right, and the required return. But if you see this example, it has this extra information, right? $100 par value, we don't need this, so let's just cancel this out, right? So assume whenever you have this, just for as a exam tip, for example, if this very easy points, right, if this comes, so don't get distracted by, oh, I have $100 par value comes or no. So just write down the formula, even if you know by head, but it's a simplicity, I assume. Just write down the formula. Okay, this is d0 over r, right? Then just see whatever you need. It's okay, I need the annual dividend is 5%, right? So this is $5, so 100 times 5%. Oops, sorry about that, I think. So this is, 5%, right, which is, and then we have a required rate of return. What is the required rate of return? Which is 6%, and 0.60%. Everything every time take as a decimal. So 5 by 0.06. So this will be $83, right? 83.33. I also computed here, but just you want to highlight this, right? Because it's it can be, sometimes the candidate can be easily uh, distracted by extra informations, right? So we need to filter it out. So that's just a small tip. And Let's go to the next slide. So this is very easy, the preference stock valuation. Okay, let's go. Okay, now we come back again on the so this is a Gordon growth model. So Gordon growth model is a well recognized DDM, is a dividend discount model. So now the thing is, when we use the Gordon growth model, right, this is also, so we assume if the dividend growth indefinitely and the at the constant rate. So what it's saying is saying, it's saying the dividend grows dividend grows at the constant rate. So this means the company is not the new, it seems like company is pretty mature company, right? Because if it's a mature advanced company, it has a stable dividend. Because if its company is still growing up, right, maybe it has a the dividend is also high, right, it's high, but after some time, so it's not a multi-stage as well. So is a so you can see the dividend is growth at a constant rate, right? So this is the key here. So I just want to highlight this because we also need to know, right, when to apply these different formulas, because even in dividend discount model, so this is can be many stages, right? First, so when we need to know when, is not only we need to apply the formula, it's also need to know when to apply. So for example, this is good for the company that are insensitive, right, insensitive to the business cycle, right? If when we study economics, we know there are some cyclic, right? The economic goes in the cycle, right? So some growth phase, right, growth phase, and then some recession, and then some five phases there, right, five stages there anyway. But that's the idea, right? So the cyclic company or the staple food company, right? So for example, electricity utility, these or the producer of staple food like bread, cereal, people buy it, right? Buy the constant, they buy at the constant rate, right? That doesn't affect by the recession, people eat bread, doesn't affect by the growth, right? We not start consuming extra electricity if our income growth a lot, for example, right? Just a simple, or for example, we don't even start consuming less bread because bread is pretty cheap, or like a candy, right? You say the candy, right? That's another example. So those are called insensitive to the business cycle, right? And also use, so there are two things here. So first thing is insensitive to the business cycle, and these are the mature growth phase, right? If you're in mature, and those are in the mature, this means the company is already mature out, right? So they won't grow further, so they are pretty stable companies, right? So there we use this Gordon growth model. The third thing I like to highlight here is the third thing, right? This model is not good for emerging market, emerging market, emerging market, right? We won't use this model. If they say, okay, maybe is a 2 point question, right? Oh, this is emerging market, can we apply the Gordon growth? No, for sure, because emerging market is still growing, right? It is growing and it's not mature. So this model is good for, let's say, for developed market, right? Developed, like Europe, America, right? These are developed markets, not growing that fast pace. But if you see the BRICS or those like India, China, or maybe some XYZ, so you get the idea, right? But the formula is pretty straightforward here. So what's the formula? So this is the value, right? V0. So this is the current dividend. Then this is the growth rate, and this is equal to this, right? So D1. So some, and R minus G, right? So this is the required rate of return, and this is G, the growth rate here. So basically we are adding the growth rate, and also we're subtracting the growth rate. So let's say this, right? Let's further analyze this formula. What will happen? So when this will increase, right? When this will increase, right? For sure, if the growth rate, if the dividend is high, right? If the growth rate is high, right, then this will increase for sure. But if this will increase, right, if required return is increased, then this will be decrease, right? So we have to be, what happen if the growth is high? If this growth is high, this will become smaller, right? The distance become on this smaller, and this will increase, right? So this is something extra we need to be very careful. Maybe it's not like because we need to understand this, right? Not just simply apply this, when to apply the formula. So we covered a couple of points here, or what to do, right? What happen if the G is 0, there is no growth, right? Then basically this will become simply like the present value go to perpetuity, right? Earlier we found, so this will be like D1 over R, right? So the formula becomes this. So this is another form of it. No, we'll take some example later on this one. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, now what how we determine the growth. Okay, there are multiple ways we can think. Okay, long term growth rate, the first is, you can read from here, it's pretty straightforward. The growth in dividend, we can take the growth in earnings or industrial mean average. And the next one, I think the most important use in the curriculum is this one. Sorry, this one. Growth is B. What is B? So basically is this B time ROE, right? Return on equity. So what is B? B is the retention rate. B is the retention rate. So whatever is left after payout, right? So sometimes they won't, it can be possible, right? We need to have a twist, right, to come up with, because in real life or maybe sometime we all have the return rate and then we have a payout ratio. Okay, the company is paying dividend X Y Z, right? So we need to determine, so what is the retention rate? Retention rate is similarly 1 minus payout ratio, right? So if we know the payout ratio, let's say if the payout ratio is 40%, right, for sure, then the company is retaining, so B is equal to 1 minus 40, right, which is 60%, right? Which is 60%, right? So there can be a twist on the question if you find on the books and all, and even for our understanding, right? So this is, I think this is one of the good thing to know in the real life. And R is just the return of equity. So we'll take example on this one. Okay, so let's start with examples, right? Okay, some example. Let's show you the example on the spreadsheet. Okay, I'll bring the, so I prepared some spreadsheet. Okay, let's go to the Gordon growth model, right? So let's assume we have the we have the dividend $5, right? So let's say we have a, sorry about that, we have a dividend $5, growth is constant 10%, and then 15% required rate of return, right? So it's pretty straightforward. So 5, okay, so a little bit, let's see here, times 1 plus growth rate, right? Divide by this R is this one minus the growth rate, right? This is $110, right? So this is our value is what we has reached. Assume the value is 10%. So let's assume, right? Let's assume what happen if the growth is 12%, right? So you see the value increase, right? And what happen if the required return is, let's say, even further, right? Decrease. You see, so when we decrease this, so basically this is give the positive value to this one, right? But this one give the negative effect, right? So this will give the negative. Just put some yellow here, right? So just I'm skipping repeating this, right, to so you can stick to your mind, right? And it's not very hard formula to apply, right? But what happened, let's say this is 25%, right? Well, you see the value drops a lot. So this way you can understand this. Okay, so let's take so this is a simple David Gordon growth model example. So let's take this another example which we have in the book, right? Exhibit 3. So what exhibit 3, this is a total.com financial company. You can, I have a link here I find on the website. So here the earning per share from 2004 to 2008. So we notice, let me zoom a little bit. So we notice this is increasing, right? So here we will be using, so here you see this is not 1 year, this is a multi-year, right? Years. And the dividend payout ratio is also increasing, right? You can say it's increasing. So the payout is pretty much 36, and then it dropped to 32, 34, 39, and 30 is pretty good. And the company is retaining almost 60 to 65% overall, right? And return on equity is around 30 to 30%. So here you see the retention ratio is 1 minus the payout ratio, right? And payout ratio, we got it. It's very simple. The dividend uh, per share divided by the earning per share, right? So just to stick that thing again, I'm not sure if I can able to write on top of this, but let's go to the slide again, right? So this is, if I go back to this slide, which I show it here, right here. So this is for the right. What happen if they even don't provide the payout ratio? Payout ratio is 40%, we assume, right? So we know we can easily calculate this 40% if we have two variables, right? So if we have given the earning per share, right? Earning per share. So payout ratio is equal to dividend per share divided by earning per share, right? So this is the payout ratio. So this is, so from dividend per share, if these two variables given, we can calculate this one, and from here we can calculate the b. So basically this is what, so sorry, we have the formula is already here. So basically this variable, right, we can then calculate out of here as well. So this is one more level of abstraction. Okay, so I think this is a very important slide. So I'll mark as to flag here. So make sure you remember this formula, because this is a very important formula to, otherwise the to compute the dividend discount model is nothing, right? So that's how we are doing here. Okay, the next thing is what it's saying is the growth rate is the 14%. So basically it's saying this divide by this, and the probably and by square root of 4, right? Because it's here and minus, so growth is 4%. Even even if we use our this formula, the growth is coming 21%, but little bit more conservative here, right? When we use this type of growth. So the maybe the mod whoever is using the model, so I just want to stick with the book. So book is saying is little bit conservative, and they use the CAPM model to come up with the R, right? Let me see. This is just copy. So just copy. If this table is just copy from here, right? And this is the source given, where uh, I'll show you why I'm using this, because I use, so basically they use this one, but even you can try using this for sure. If you use the higher growth, the value will be higher, right? But this is what we have. Okay, so this is further, so this is the simple the same way. So basically then this is our the equity model. So now uh, we have the R, we have the G, and we just plug into our formula, so which is the current 2008 2.25 times the growth rate on, and then we got this value, right? Just using this formula. Maybe I'll just copy this here as well. Yeah, you see. So now this is another the sensitivity analysis. It shows on there. So this is in euros. So what happened if the growth is only 2%, right? And the R is 7%, is also lower. Then we the expected value by growth model is 46.52. And you see if this is something break here or something, I'm not sure. 5% and 7%, right? So this is, wow, this is quite high actually. Doesn't look doesn't look right, but that's what it is. Okay, so just by 1%, right? And see, you see, if we want increase the, so basically if we increase the required return, the value is goes down, and if we increase the growth rate, the value increases, but not that much, because the rate required return is our expectation as in going to the present value is also down. So this is the way. So we can see how we can analyze the stock. So we are somewhere here, right? 14, actually 14 and 19, right here, right at the very end, right on the edge. Okay, now I try to, so I also see, I went to their website, total.com, and then I try to, this example is pretty old, right? From 2004 to 2008. So let's see what happened if we have some latest number, right? Just latest number. So I'll got this number from their website, total.com. So 2013 to 2017, this is what they're in pound, right? Earning per share. This is what their dividend per share. So this is just a copy from there. Like, let me show it to you. So this is the model, right? There's a model here. So you see this is the diluted sh- share price. This is the dividend per share from 2011 to 2017, right? But I only take from up to 13, right? Just to for 5 years actually. Let me confirm 2.38. Yeah, so I'll take only up to 5 year. I can go 2 year, but I think it's okay. Just I want to try with them latest. The example is little bit pretty old actually. I just keep the 19% same rate here, instead of using the earlier method on the growth, because I assume I see the it's pretty stale now. The dividend is not growing much, right? So I use this method to come up with the growth rate, right? So it's the average, and I also use the average. Here's the average of, I take the average of this, the retention rate, and average of the return on equity, just to be a little bit conservative. So I got like 15.22 method. So this is one of the way you can use. The required return I only use, so still take 19%. So my expectation is 19 as 75.63, right? But right now the market share, if you see, is 46 pounds, 46, sorry, euro, right? So it can further grow by this amount. And similarly, we have the sensitivity analysis shows here. So pretty much, if even if it goes higher, so that's somewhere here, right, on the latest price. Okay, so let's take another example. This is so we have a garden growth example. So let's take a little bit more complex examples. This is a pretty stage for because here we assume the growth is constant, right? 15%. So let's take some another example. Actually, I let's take the example, this one. So we want to take it. Okay, so let's take the example is if the current dividend is $5, right? What this is like a multi-stage. So I'll take a two-stage here. In the first stage, the company is going at a high rate of 10% for 3 years, and then afterwards it will be it's stale out, right? So here we cannot just simply go and use the dividend discount model. So it's going something like this. It's a two-stage model. So let's say this way, right? So here the growth is 10%, right? So we have this. So let's say this is a 10%, right? So first 3 years, right? So first is 3 years is 10% growth, and then there is a 5% growth, right? So from here to here. Then this is, let's say, the 5 years. So one, this is a one. Let's say two. This is 3 years, right? And then this is going forward, right? And this is the R. This is the R, right? So how are we going to do this, right? So I'll show you in the spreadsheet as well, but just to give you some idea, right? So let's me maybe I should insert a slide here, right? So just to show you manually how. Okay, what is there? Okay, so here you go. So here the, let's say the D0, right? So first, I think the first step how we do manually, because in the exam we don't have a spreadsheet, right? All we need is a calculator, right? So how we should write down? Okay, so first thing first, we just write down all the variable, right? So the first thing, okay, what we need, right? So this is our formula first. So V0 is equals to D1 R minus G, right? But we have 2G here, right? So, right. So we need to know, okay, so so this is for 3 years, right? So we're saying we have G is for high growth is 10%, and G for low low growth is 5%, right? So we write down all the information, whatever we have. And the current dividend is $5, right? Let's say assuming the dollar, right? And this is, you write like this, right? 1 to 3 years. That's actually I'll do if I write the question, so we don't have to go back and I don't miss anything, right? So I have all the information, right? So, okay, so let's say now what happened. For D1, right? D2, D3, right? And then this is the information we have, right? And so D1 is what happened. So this is, let's say the 5, then we have one, what is this, 10%, right? So 1.10, right? 1.10, right? This is 1. Then this is 5, right? So 1.10, right? Square. And third year, right? Third year is also this. So 5, 1.10, right? 3, 3, right? But so here, instead of going day fourth, right? So we also write this 1.05, right? Because this is for the D4. I'm just doing a two-step in one, right? And this one, so basically this is, we'll got this one, right? D4. And then we'll do DR, which is 0.15. So yeah, we need to write here R. What is our R? R is 15%, right? So 0.15, so 0.15 minus 0.05, right? So this is our D5. So what, so are we planning to sell it, or what's we are doing, right? So let's go back. I don't remember this. Okay, so 10% a year. So that's pretty much right. So that's actually I, right. So right now it doesn't say it's planning to sell, but that's, but we can easily add that. So just have this one, right? So what's the value? We can easily expand that. So let's continue with this one, right? So this will be like 5.5. So this one is 6.05. So I think this example I got it from the book. So, and this one will be 69.87, right? So this 69.87. Now this, but if you think this one is, now we need to bring everything, right? Everything to present value, right? To, because this is coming something here, right? Let's say this is our timeline. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, right? So we get this value here, right? So here we are getting 5.05. Okay, so here we are getting 6.05, right? And here we are getting 69.87, right? Something like this. right? Then, okay, sorry about that. So then what we need to do, right? So this is 69, right? Okay, so I was doing the computation here. This is 69, right? So when, so this need to be add up, right? So this need to be add up, and then this need to bring up everything to the present value, right? We need to discount this. So we need to discount this. So we need to discount this number first year by 15%, right? So this is, so basically this will be like 5.05, need discount by 1.15, right? Plus 6.05, 1.15 square plus 69.87, 1.15 cube. And when we bring this everything to the front, this will become 69 point, sorry, 59.68. So this is the way we do. So I can also show this in a spreadsheet. I have done here. So this is a high growth 10%, constant growth 4, required 5, and this is here. So this is the dividend. I just show individually, right? This is the present value. So here I just split it out, that this is the high growth, and afterwards I'm doing this 5% here. You see the 5. So C10 is coming from here. C10 times we do the next year and R minus G. So we take the present value of this one. So we get this number, right? I think I don't need to do this. So right. So basically here, so here we need to, so we need to take the third level, and this is the fourth one, right? So I think I didn't put it here. So here I missed. So this is for the long term, basically the fourth year, which I need to bring here. But this is also, we have one more, 6.655, right? So we don't want to miss that one. So because we have the 3 GS, we're growing 3 year, right? So so first year we bring this one. Second year, this is a high growth phase, and then this is a continuous growth phase. So this is, and then we bring everything together to this intrinsic value, right? So this is our, so pretty much, uh, this is for the constant growth model. So couple of things I like to highlight one more time, yeah, is even I, you see, it's easily get missed, right? Easily get missed some of the points. So when you, so I suggest keep write everything so I suggest two things here, right? uh, I know the video is getting a little bit longer, but I believe this is worth it, because this is an extremely useful and important topic. So first thing, what I suggest here, if you want to be successful, right? So first thing, right, write the formula, right? Write the formula, right? Because in the exam there may be many distraction, right? What we notice in the, if you remember the preference share, right? The formula, right? D0 or R, right? There are extra information was given like price, which we don't need it, right? And we wondering sometimes, we cram in the exam, oh, I didn't use this information, maybe I'm doing something wrong. So have to be confident, right? So write the formula, the practice the formula, right? Practice it. Practice. Practice is the key. Practice is the key in the CFA, right? CFA exam. So just do many practice questions, do many times, right, in a day. Third thing is, third thing is don't try to write down. So you list down what your required variable, right? But I suggest use the memory key tab as much possible. It saves the time. Memory key key tabs in your calculator right? Because you won't have too much time in exam, right, to write it. For example, if what I will do, if I say, if for example I have d0, right, I'll say okay, 5 times 1 point something, right, let's say some 0.5, right, then d1. So there are many way of doing it, right? So whether I can do this 5.1.05 square, right? So this one, so here I can store this value. I can store this in memory 1, right? I can store this immediately, this in memory 2, so I don't make a mistake in writing again and then do thing, right? Or I can also do this I can just do this one, and then I say this time 1.05, right, immediately, right, and this will give me this number as well. So this is just the key tips how you ace and to save time for exams, right? Because exam, you only have very few minutes, right, to analyze and do the work. So although, and then you have to read it as well. So this is, so I'll keep also whenever I put any topic, I also help you. But I think you should know this well, right? And fourth thing is, remember that b times roe, right? How you can get this b uh, f- from the payout. This is like payout, right? 1 minus payout. This is b, and payout can be also dividend per share by earning per share, right? This one. And otherwise the formula is pretty straightforward, right? So d1 r minus g, right? In future we'll see there are many ways to come up with r, right? Right now it's given, I think, for level 1 mostly, or in the exam, or in the, sorry, I don't cannot guess it what is or what is not, but uh, let's focus on this one, right? So there are many ways to come up with g, and this is a very simple formula, right? So I cannot imagine this is ggm, right? Gordon growth model or other things. So anyway, I cannot highlight any more, but if you have any more question or comments, please put on the comment section. I'll pick up that topic for the next time. Otherwise, whatever I think there's a most important topic which candidates suffer, I'll put some more videos. And if you like my videos, do share and please subscribe to my channel.